Everybody, welcome back again for another episode of From the Forest to the Tide. I'm Shawn here with Chaz and Rob, and we are recording on the same day that we have assigned our official first player for 2026, a defender out of FC Naples, no stranger to League One, as we'll learn more and more about him in this podcast today, is Brecc Evans. So Brecc Evans, a left center back. Played for FC Naples last year. An outstanding center back, actually, in League One. And I don't want to bore you with a bunch of stats, but I do want to say that he ranked third in block shots all of last year. And a key stat that I have learned that usually draws the eyes of head coach Bobby Murphy is the goals added mark, which basically the amount of time that a player is on a field, the plus and the minus of those goals. It stacks up over minutes played. Um, and Brecc has got a plus 6.35 for goals, which is really, really good. So, Chaz, I'm going to kick it over to you. First thoughts and impressions on the very first 2026 season, brand new signing for the Hearts of Pine.
I just want to say right now I'm 1 for 5. So as of my last appearance, I did have Brecc Evans on my list. Um, I did watch him when he was at Northern Colorado now 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great center back. I think that great pairs well with either Kemali or whoever else we sign.
Yeah.
Um, he can score points, which is a good thing. He's young. He can shoot from outside the box. And it kind of, I think well, again, we'll kind of get into this later. I think, again, kind of opens that floodgates to make possibly other signings. I have heard some rumblings over, some of those Northern Colorado guys going down south to Corpus Christi because of Zayed.
Yeah.
But hopefully, that leads to more signings, maybe from Naples, maybe from Northern Colorado. We'll see. But overall, I think for a first signing, this was one heck of a splash.
Yeah, and I kind of heard a little bit of that as well, Chaz. That some people were surprised that he didn't go to Corpus Christi. He didn't follow that main pipeline of Northern Colorado players that are going down to see head coach Zayed down there in Corpus Christi and play for them. But so is that maybe just a small sample of that draw that the Hearts maybe are beginning to flex on USL League One?
Oh, I don't know if Rob, I know Rob's probably got something to say about it too, but absolutely. Even in his welcome video, he was like, I've saw the support. Again, he probably does want to draw. I don't know how much we're paying him. We're probably paying him, a healthy amount. He had good support down in Naples, but I think it's probably pretty clear that we take it a step up. So you go from Northern Colorado playing in front of 600 middle schoolers to, a couple thousand down in Naples to now a full stadium in Maine. I think that's great progression. And he's still early in his career. I think it's all around better support, another upgrade in his career.
Yeah.
And he can fit right into a first line. So I think it works out for both parties. We get a great defender, and he gets basically that next building block. Definitely.
Yes. So Rob, I think to Chaz's point in terms of age, I think he's right around that 26-year mark, so right in his prime. In terms of money, well, it's anyone's guess. We're not privy to the contracts in terms of years and mounts and all that sort of stuff. But I think he won the very first USL League One championship down there with Northern Texas back in 2019. So he is no stranger to USL League One, and with a guy of his caliber and his pedigree, and hitting a lot of those stat marks in the top 2 or 3, 4, and even 5 in USL League One, we can probably assume he's on some pretty fair money for a USL League One player. But Rob, thoughts about the new signing?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. He's definitely, when Bobby Murphy said he wanted to rebuild that defensive line and really invest time and effort into putting together a stronger defensive screen for Hunter Morse,
Yeah.
I think Brecc Evans is probably going to be a cornerstone of that. The statistic I thought was interesting that I was just looking over is actually his total minute count for last season.
Yes.
He was 90 minutes short of 3,000 minutes last season. An incredible high amount of endurance to go through a long campaign like that and put in those kind of minutes at the level of quality he was doing. I think is going to really help us out, especially given, it might not be the same next season with injuries for us, but this past season we kind of fluctuated all over the field with guys coming off. If Brecc Evans can stay healthy through next year at that same level, which he's in his prime, like you said, so he probably will, I think that's really good for the Hearts to not necessarily need to worry about a really young guy who's still kind of coming into form or an older guy who, is a little bit more susceptible to injury. The other thing I did want to mention that came out in his announcement today, the club put out is he talked about how great the support is here in Portland, and I think it's well known across the league and U.S. soccer that we have a really great fan base here. But he also said, which I thought was really interesting, is he's talked to other players across the league and said that the organization here in Portland is really top notch and really superior, and that was another reason he wanted to come. Um, so yeah, I think that speaks to kind of Bobby Murphy and kind of the way the sporting department has kind of really made things work well for our players. That's kind of the thing we don't get to see as fans all the time. We get little hints and glimpses based on some of the social media videos the club puts out. But, there's guys like James Haleppo. There's obviously Yuta Nomura, Alex Ryan, a whole cast of characters that work behind the scenes, our athletic trainers, all sorts of people that try to work to make the club really succeed from a team point of view. And having a guy like Brecc Evans, who's really great as a player, say that I came to this club because of the support that players get from the team, I think makes me as a fan feel really good because I know that the club is taking care of our players really well. So that was just a little thing I picked up on that I think is really great about the team that we learned from this signing.
Yeah, and then to your point, Rob, of the team really taking care of the players in whole, not just as a player on the pitch, but is in their interest and what they might want to do after soccer, and the team trying to help them with that. I point to things with Shawn Vinberg with his podcast and stuff like that, and some of the help that the club ended up giving him for his podcast that he just put out there a little while ago, and it kind of setting that up. And he even made comment on his podcast, like this is a full on production podcast, and it kind of getting a little bit of help from that way. And so Brecc is not basically, he is. He's got a master's degree in finance that he got back in March of 24. And, hey, maybe he can bounce some stuff off from Gabe, which is also a finance major, and what that looks like after soccer for himself and whatnot. But he's also a very cerebral player, is what I'm learning about Brecc Evans. He is kind of he's a coach for and working with the MSM Performance Group, strength and conditioning trainer, in terms of mental performance coach. That's kind of the role that he is taking on. And another reason why he kind of come up here, he speaks to a lot of his affinity for outdoors, and like to hike and get on the beaches and things of that sort. Which Maine is known for some beaches. We're not well known for beaches like some of the warmer climates, but yeah, we got some beaches. Experience
We're gonna
those.
beat Florida, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, they're a secret. It's a secret. We'll say
we'll
that.
do our
Our
best.
beaches are a secret.
But yeah, he's very much coming across to me in some of his write up as I'm kind of scrolling through here, trying to find another point that I really wanted to key in on. But it all revolves around basically between the ears for Brecc, and really trying to get into that mental focus and mental toughness inside of his game. and you see a lot of his side jobs and hobbies and things of that sort revolves around that. So the picture I'm trying to paint here is he's a very mentally strong type of player. And when you get into some of the matches that we've seen here in League One and in any soccer match or whatever, that gets tested. If you looked at his yellow cards, it kind of reflects what I'm speaking to. Relatively low count for a center back. I think he was somewhere. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was somewhere in that 5 or 6 range. Is really all he had.
I believe it was 5, Shawn, for in league play.
Yeah, yeah. So that's for a center back, last line of defense. That's relatively low for a center back. So certainly with all the stats that we were talking about, and again, I don't want to bog people down with stats, but very high performing center back with a low yellow card count, which means he's a smart player. He's good at body positioning, and that 6'5" frame helps him muscle some people out of the area as well. He's a duel winning machine, like some 60% on his duels mixed between both ground and air. Go ahead, Rob. Looks like you had something.
I was gonna say it's actually 69% on its ground duels.
Right.
Aerial duels is 54%. So a little bit less, but still that's right in there. It's right about the same as Shawn Vinberg was. Shawn Vinberg was 52% last year. I'm looking at the comparison of those two right now. So I think I want to say I don't want to compare them necessarily because they're a little bit different, but I think we're going to see a solid defensive player who's leaving getting replaced, at least on that line, with another solidly defensive player.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Vinberg was really, really good in ground duels, and Brecc shows that he's really, really good in ground duels. I think a bigger frame and maybe a little bit more air dominance, I think, is kind of what we're looking for in that upgrade. Would be my initial hunch. I think Vinberg, we saw he was not shy to get a yellow card. He was probably right behind Mikey Lopez in last year's yellow card count. So very, very physical center back was how Shawn liked to play and continues to play and likes to play. And I think we're going to see a little bit, like I said, a little bit more body positioning and a little bit more thinking in where he is in reference to the danger coming in. And I think that's kind of the difference you're going to see between Brecc and the way we saw Shawn play center back role. So both can be very effective. It's just a different way of playing. And I think we're going to see that this year. And I think that is something that Kemali Green can probably get a little bit of help with in terms of better body positioning. Which last year was his rookie year. There's lots of things that he needs to learn. But I think the other piece is the physicality that Brecc will bring. And again, going back to that bigger frame and the knowledge and how to use it. And that is something Kemali does need to get that into his game. He's got to be a bit of a bully every once in a while and be physical with people. And I think if as we get into our defensive line discussion and we start talking about a few more names possibly coming into the Hearts, keep that in mind in terms of their physicality and their play, and what that may look like coming in to bolster this back line. So, Chaz, any other additional thoughts on Brecc Evans before we go ahead and we move into some a little bit of brief goalkeeper conversation?
I think you guys covered it. I think we got it good for now. I'm excited to see who else we pair with him. But I think overall good.
Yeah. Good. Rob, anything final on Brecc?
No, I'm excited for him to get here. Obviously we have a while to preseason, but yeah, well, welcome to Portland, Brecc. We can't wait to cheer you on during the 2026 season.
People are already busy in the Dirigo Union trying to come up with some Brecc Evans chants and songs. They're already well into it. But we're going to go ahead and move into some goalkeeper discussion. So basically what we're trying to do here in this podcast, we're just going to try to paint out a little bit of the goalkeepers and possible names coming into the defensive line side of the house. We've got some holes to fill, one of which we just got done talking about. So we now have a grand total of 2 center backs now instead of just one. So that's nice. But just wanted to make sure we touched up on the goalkeepers. Of course, just to remind everybody, we have 2 under contract right now. Typically, USL League One teams are running with 2 goalkeepers, so probably little to zero business probably needing to be done in this house. But hey, every once in a while, you might have a trialist come in and maybe trying to push maybe your backup or something like that, and things of that sort may happen. But Hunter Morris will start again between the sticks, we assume, and Cash Oladapo will be the number 2. We assume going into the 2026 regular season. Chaz, anything different to that that you've got for goalkeepers going for 26?
I think doubling down. I think it's going to stay that same way. I probably think if we're going to pick up another goalie, it'll probably come from either the main day. I would imagine our third or emergency goalie will be a local. I just don't see any reason to spend the extra funds or really fill an extra spot with. They're 2 good goalkeepers. We were blessed to have. I don't think neither of our goalkeepers were even remotely close to hurt throughout the year. So
No.
I mean, why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, I think a relatively healthy season for both. I think a few knocks and niggles there with Hunter, here and there, but no actual injury that kept him out of the lineup due to injury that I'm aware of at all. Rob, any thoughts on goalkeepers?
No, I mean, so we did see last winter, we know from some photos that were released by the team that there was at least one other person between the sticks. We don't know if they were a trialist or, if they were just there as part of a practice squad or what was going on. But I think Chaz has it right. If we see a third keeper come on, it's going to be high school player or a college age player that's coming in to kind of get some minutes, get some experience. Obviously, we don't have an academy here in Portland, or at least not yet. So
Right.
that would probably be the only reason we'd sign someone else is if we see a really good local product and we wanted to kind of lock it down and make sure they get some professional opportunities to at least train with a professional team. So that way, maybe down the road when Cash and Hunter are maybe no longer with us, we're able to kind of have a local product. But yeah, I don't really think it's that likely.
Yeah, I agree. Really, not much to talk about on the goalkeeper side of things. We've got our 2. That's what we're going to go into the season with. Barring anything out of the ordinary or unforeseen with those 2 players, that's kind of who we're going to have going into 2026. And outside of maybe having a trialist coming in and spending some time with us, I don't really think we're going to see any changes on the goalkeeper side of the house for the Hearts. So that will bring us into our defensive line discussion. So, like I said, currently coming into the podcast, we've had Nathan Messer, we got Jaden Jones-Riley, and we had Kemali Green until we just signed Brecc Evans. So we've got 4 across the back line. We've got 2 left center backs. So, Kemali played the left center back side of the house, and that's exactly Breck's position. Brecc also is a left center back. So maybe a little bit of discussion to be had there as we move into where players may move around to and how we may possibly play them. But it's very, very cut and dry and clear cut, I think, at our starting wing back spots. Jaden Jones Riley on the right hand side, Nathan Messer, our Iron Man last year in minutes, and also defensive player of the year nominee will be starting at our left wing back spot here for the Hearts of Pine. So, Rob, just kind of one of, in my opinion, I think we got our left center back position all tied up between Kemali and Brecc, but I'll leave it to you. Anything to be said about the left center back position?
Yeah, I think that you have it right. I don't think we're gonna. I think those are the 2 left center backs. Brecc Evans has never really played as a right center back. in his professional career, at least not in the USL League One. Kemali Green obviously only played for the Hearts last season, so we don't have positioning data for when he was in the NCAA. But for that one season, he only ever played as a left center back. So I think it's unlikely you retrain Brecc Evans to play over on the right side of that position. Kemali Green might be a little bit of a different story, but I think more likely Bobby's going to try and bring in at least one right center back. Maybe we can get into the second right center back and who that potentially might be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chaz, thoughts on left center back?
No, I'm happy. I'm overall happy. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Kemali, maybe if depending on who we signed, I wouldn't be shocked if we moved Kemali to the right. But I mean, if having those two as our left center backs, I'm over the moon.
Do either one of you see Kemali Green kind of moving in and out of the starting lineup in more of a learning role as we possibly bring in two veteran center backs, one on the left and one on the right, and he's still very much part of the rotation. But maybe it's a little bit of horses for courses with Kemali and coming in and out of the starting lineup. Rob?
Yeah, I think Brecc starts. I think that's the logical thing to do. At the beginning of the season, when people are kind of getting ramped up, maybe you see a little bit more rotation between Kemali and Brecc Evans. Maybe we'll see things like at cup games, Kemali start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it being. I see that being an educational relationship. So Kemali comes in whenever we need substitutions, maybe starting at some of those low pressure games, but because the goal of that line this season is to be stronger, be more defensively minded, and in what it seems, based on Brecc Evans signing, be bigger. Until Kemali kind of bulks up a little bit, I would fully expect Brecc to be the face of that back line.
Yeah, Chess, thoughts?
I mean, I would also be curious to see. I think it really comes down to who signs as our right back. I guess I'm really curious to see if we do get who. I don't know if we're going to start talking about who could be in our right back. I mean, I know people have already floated the whole like Jake Dangler thing.
Sure.
I don't know yet.
Yeah,
I think if we sign another, yeah, I know, yeah, we're probably getting there. If we just sign a veteran in the right back, I could see if we just sign two younger guys, I wouldn't be shocked if Kemali just moves to the right. He's young enough to just pair because I would be. I think I don't want to upset him.
Yeah.
He was our starting left back last year. I mean, I feel like I would be like, it's kind of a weird thing to be like, hey, like, you've been a consistent starter. You've got, player of the year for at least for the Hearts. Congratulations. Here's the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is. I can't really tell. I think it depends on who our center back is. I mean, do I think Brecc should probably start if it came down to it? Probably. But I could also see, who knows? Maybe we change our formation. Maybe we end up running like three center backs. Yeah. That would be a wild change up. I mean, we could do it if we get enough young guys that want to be pressuring. Brecc Evans is perfectly good to shoot from outside the box and get back. I mean, if we started running, five in the back, that would definitely take care of our defensive woes. I guess on paper, in theory, it would, but I don't know. I think it really depends. I don't know if I can really form a solid opinion until I see who our next defender, at least central defender, is.
Yeah, so I think you kind of touch up on a good point in terms of do we change formation a little bit? I lean towards probably not, but we've seen it in year one where our six rotates down and we've got three center backs more or less in the back and we're pushing people forward, or sometimes Messer will shift over and act as a center back and we got three in the back and the right side's pushing up, and we certainly toy with it, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I like to look at it as it's a competition thing, and Kemali is very early on in his development, and to bring in a couple of in their prime center backs that have been there, done that in terms of League One, and can, it's another layer of learning for young Kemali Green. That's not a bad thing, to come in and maybe Kemali rotates in and out a little bit. Where last year we pretty much saw him as long as he was healthy, he was our starting left center back. That's if that is the case, and of course we're just pulling at straws here. But if that is the case, that's probably something that head coach Bobby Murphy maybe talked a little bit with Kemali on and at his end of year and what he wants to see for him going forward. And if that part of the conversation was he wants to see him get a little bit more physical, and then Kemali sees him go out and get two big physical center backs, you'd probably be like, okay, got it. I'm going to learn a little bit about that this year. Got it, coach. Any more thoughts on left center back, Rob, before we move over to our right center back and possibilities?
Let's move it on over to the right center back.
All right, so we'll go ahead and shift it over to right center back. Basically, just going to look at possibilities that are out there and maybe talk around maybe two or three names or whatever you got, Rob, and kind of maybe offer up. We need. I'm going to go ahead and say we need two. I think we're going to have four center backs, which is exactly what we had last year. I think we're going to have the same. We've got two left center backs. Now we need some right center backs. So go ahead and kind of toss out some names and maybe some possibilities out there for the Hearts of Pine and head coach Bobby Murphy and these right center backs.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with kind of the news of the day, I guess, or at least the news of last week. So end of last week, we got a post from a player that was not on the re-signed list, Mo Mohammed. He released a post on Instagram that said the following: "Thank you, Hearts SC. Grateful for the opportunity and memories. See you next year, UTFH." It was edited a few hours later to remove the "see you next year." So we're not 100% certain if that was just a missed announcement or what's going on there or why Mo would write "see you next year" in the post originally and then change it. But I think it's worth the comment saying it's possible Mo Mohammed is re-signing, and we may have that announcement in the next few weeks. Not sure why Mo posted it again, but I think that's worth a comment. So he's certainly one of the people to mention in that position. Personally speaking, I'd be happy to bring Mo back. I think Mo is a lot like Kemali. He's a player who is actively still developing, actively getting better, and especially at probably the last 2-3 months of last season, we saw a lot of really attractive, great plays made by Mo in that spot. So I'd be happy with that signing. Chaz, what do you kind of think of that?
Yeah, I always wanted Mo back. I think it's cool that he also is just marked on like most websites as defender. He has history in pretty much every angle of defending. I mean, I would probably prefer him maybe at like a right or a left wing back behind Nathan or Jaden Jones. I think he fits more just with his size out on the wings. But yeah, I think he's like I would say a must bring back piece. Just about how young he is, his versatility. I think he could be a really good option to have. Would I put him at right back? Maybe as like a fifth option. But I think he's a must. He's a must get.
I think you're right on one point, which is having these players that are able to play multiple positions. I think that's something we were a little bit lacking this past season. We saw occasionally a little bit of rotation. The one I can think of the most off the top of my head is when Vinberg ended up playing right back for a game or two. I think having more flexibility within the squad, having guys be able to fill in for multiple positions, is going to end up being more important, especially for some of our smaller players like Mo, who sometimes get knocked about by the larger guys in this league and end up taking a few games off from injuries. So I think that's probably a good point. What do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, so just so I'm clear, Rob, did you see Mo Mohammed as a possibility as a right center back, or are you primarily putting him over as a backup on the right wing?
I think on the right side. I mean, he played. I think he played 1 or 2 games in that center back role, if I'm correct.
He did. When we got a red card, forget who got a red card, or someone got hurt. I think it was when Sega went down on his second time. We had no center backs, and I think Mikey and Mo kind of talked about it, and Mo ended up in the center back role.
Yeah, and I don't think he played bad in that center back role. I don't. I mean, I agree with you, Chaz. He's a little small. I do think he kind of moves up the pitch a little farther than maybe one of Bobby Murphy's center backs would traditionally move in his tactical style. But I didn't dislike him playing when he was covering for Sega.
Yeah, in terms of an emergency role coming in for a center back, yeah, I got no problem with Mikey Lopez coming in there and playing some center back. I think I'd probably prefer him over Mo just because of his experience level and knowing what to look out for. And at that level that we're at in League One, that Mikey would be my option if he's on the field to go ahead and fill a hole for triage type center back type stuff. But I think wing back wise, that's where I want to see Mo. I do agree that I think we do sign him back for another year in 2026. I echo the fact that he is a player that is learning, and we saw some flashes of really good play from Mo in the very end of 2025. And I think he gets an option to come in and learn a little bit behind Jaden, and see what Jaden does up there in front of him, and kind of pick his brain on what that right flank looks like from out of Jaden's eyes, and learn behind him. And I think a main substitute in the wing back role, whether it be the left side or the right side, I think Mo is a great one to have on the roster, and I think we do sign him. I think he does come back, and he's going to be our backup right wing back. Anything further on that, Chaz?
No, I think we covered it. We're good.
So we're gonna. Yeah, go ahead, Rob. I just wanted to kind of.
Go right ahead, Shawn.
I just wanted to shift.
I was just gonna throw a few more names out there that we could talk about. Maybe kind of some basic options, and then maybe some upgrade options.
Yeah, at the center back role.
Yep. So I think two guys we can kind of talk about as let's call it the standard options. Kind of League One standard is what I mean by that. Is David Garcia out of Spokane and Jake Demler, who is also out of Naples. Both were released by their clubs. Both have fairly good reputations as defenders. They, especially Jake Dengler's on the larger side. Obviously played with Brecc Evans in probably one of the better defensive pairings in the league. Both were named a Team of the Week multiple times this season. If I remember correctly, David Garcia. Looking for my right spreadsheet here. David Garcia was named the 2024 Team of the Year. So those are some guys I think that if Bobby Murphy wants to go out, I think he has the money based on what we know of the team's financial performance to try and woo those guys over to come play for the Hearts.
Chaz, do you have any names to offer it up at center back position at all? Or I got a few if you don't.
Man, this is one position I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't find a natural right back for my life. So yeah, you're gonna have to go. Actually, I did find one shot in the dark that does have some history playing right back is David Mason from Texoma. He is, US guy from Maryland. I mean, Texoma's, that's a free 26 players that just have USL One experience. He got released. He's only 27, so he's a little older. He could use some more experience. So, I mean, I don't know. Again, hopefully it's not our main signing, but that's kind of the only guy that I found that was like, he's a natural right back that I could find at least. So David Mason is my shot in the dark for right back.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, there's all of these are just options. It's only up to head coach Bobby Murphy and his staff on what will be signed and what will not be signed. So we're just totally reaching out in this huge player pool we have around the world and saying, well, this might be a good option. So what I've got here at right center back, I've got a few. I'll go ahead and toss them out here. So yeah, so Jake Dengler for me was kind of where everything started in the center back names, and when I saw that Jake Dengler was a free agent on the initial roster moves for FC Naples, it perked my ears up because I'm familiar with Jake Dengler's background out there and being a center back in this league where I watched for a couple years before the Hearts came on, and I know very much what Jake Dengler can do in this league, and I was surprised to actually see that he was a free agent. I was doubly surprised to see Brecc Evans was also a free agent. So my mind quickly went to, wow, how easy could that be where we can actually get in our right center back and left center back, and they've already got a year under their belt while playing with each other. So yeah, I think right center back, bringing in Jake Dengler and pairing with his FC Naples compadre and inserting him into the Hearts back line, not a bad idea in my opinion, and certainly something worth poking at if I'm head coach Bobby Murphy. And maybe those conversations have already taken place. Maybe contracts have already been signed, and we're just waiting to hear from the official announcement. All hypothetical conversation going on. But I would like to think if the phone call was at least made, and the conversations got a lot further down the road, more towards signing a contract with Jake Dengler. Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think most likely that conversation is happening. It's worth noting there are many other teams looking for center backs. So, and Jake Dengler is probably the best defender in this league, I would say.
Yeah.
So he's probably the prize horse to get at the show. So I think for a lot of the reasons why Brecc Evans said he signed, I think are all things Bobby Murphy can say to persuade him to come up here. I think maybe if you like playing with Brecc Evans on the back line, that might even be something else that'll help.
Yeah.
I certainly think he'd be a great player to sign. Also, I gotta say it. I've said it probably 3 or 4 times to both of you before we started recording, but geez, Naples is really shedding the players. Not only did they lose these two guys, but Hender Long is also gone.
He went to the Rowdies.
Yeah, yikes. We'll probably do preseason talk much later once we know how the rosters all shake out. But yeah, that'll be an interesting change in dynamic next year.
Yeah, FC Naples a very defensive side, and one of the top four, top five defenses in USL League One this year, and all three of their defensive triangle, if you will, center back, and CDM are gone, or we would assume Dengler will be gone, and all three of them will be elsewhere next year. So hopefully FC Naples has got a plan because the core of their defense is leaving. Any thoughts on possibly bringing Jake in there, Chaz, before I move on to a few other names?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's tempting. Why not? If you had a great time, why ruin what you had some good? And Portland has a big hole. I mean, outside of Kemali, I'm not saying Kemali's the hole, but everyone around Kemali is gone. So why not just keep the magic going? And it was actually funny that I was just poking around here, and I also just realized David Mason, who was my complete shot in the dark, also played with Jake Dangler down in Maryland.
Oh, there you go.
So I was like, I don't know. Basically, my entire spider web here is either guys that have played with each other in college, and it's just hilarious to actually see. It's crazy how small I feel like USL One is, and it's like I think there's actually some real proof in the pudding. So I was like, if we do end up getting Jake, I mean, heck yeah. But I wouldn't be shocked if we can get David Mason too, because it's like, or if we can get one, you can get the other. Because why not say, hey, we're comfortable. Let's go do this. But yeah, I think it would be crazy. I think we have the money to do it. I don't know if you guys. I mean, I saw you this morning, Shawn, in the USL One Discord, and the updater was like, hey, there's a team making a big splash in New England, and it could get real bloody if people don't start, figuring it out. So yeah, having Jake Daniel, actually having this conversation is honestly still surreal. That we're actually like, yeah, we could probably get, like you said, Rob said, possibly one of the best center backs on the table right now. But yeah, I would love him. Why not?
So the other couple of names that I've got, and I'll just touch upon these. Well, one first and foremost, and head coach Bobby Murphy even said it might be a possibility that he reaches back out to Sega Coulibaly and say, hey, how about a big man? Maybe you want to run it back with us, maybe another year. He's got a. He mentioned that is very much still in the cards. That's a possibility. So if we look at it from a perspective of where maybe I don't know how head coach Bobby Murphy is looking at that in any conversation with Sega, whether it be more of like if you do bring in a Jake and you team him up with Brecc, is Sega and Kemali, is that your four, and you kind of rotate them in and out as knocks and niggles happen, and then keep them fresh. And you know that's we know what Sega can do when he's up on plane and doing his thing. We know what he can do. But if money ends up becoming a thing, and he wants to spend a little bit of money elsewhere, and we assume we have a general idea of what Sega might ask for a contract and money and that sort of thing, and maybe that's not a part of it. Maybe he wants to bring in a fourth center back that's more college-esque, if you will. Think of like Kemali Green and bringing him in fresh from college and start bringing him along as well. So I reached out and combed through the right center back ranks there of the NCAA, and I'm not all that great with the college side of things. Sometimes I feel I'm picking too high. Sometimes I'm feeling like I'm picking too low. So it could be very, very easy where I could pull out a name and they go, yeah, wait, get that guy. He's going to MLS. He's getting drafted or something like that, right? But the guy I came up with that I thought maybe might be worth a look is Josh Martinez out in San Diego. He's a senior. Uh, I think he's somewhere in that 6'3", 6'4" range. Had some good numbers that I saw in NCAA, and I felt that would be a good college player to go ahead and bring in and kind of get their feet wet up here in Portland, Maine, on the professional side of things, and maybe that would be a possibility for the Hearts to go ahead and pull in a college player and kind of repeat what they did there with Kemali Green at right center back. And if you want a little international flavor, I went ahead and did some combing over there in the League of Ireland Premier Division. And I found a right center back that plays for Sligo Rovers. Excuse me. And his name is Gareth McElroy. He's 21 years old, 6'4". Supposedly his contract is through November of 26. So more than likely not a player you're going to go ahead and sign this year. But maybe you put a pin in that one and keep an eye on him. And I did do a little bit of research on Gareth, and he just finished up his trials over in Europe, and unfortunately he did not get a contract. So he's back with Sligo, and he's 21 years of age. So at that point in time, the chances of getting a contract, he's got about another year or two of a window. And from what I read and what I understand, it's usually a little out of the norm to see a 22 or 23-year-old get a contract with a team through trials and stuff. So more realistically, he's probably going to be venturing out onto his own now in the professional side of things. And why not go ahead and give him a call and say, hey, well, you want to come over to the U.S. and test the waters over here? would like to have you over here in the Hearts and see what you can do for us over here. Thoughts on any of that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have two thoughts. First, to address the NCAA question, it's very hard to look at NCAA players without physically actually watching them.
Yeah.
To our listeners, if you want to go looking through NCAA statistics, go right ahead. They are much harder to find and quantify than traditional soccer statistics. So best of luck. We are trying. Our friend Josh Tabor is trying to put together a little database of NCAA players. So maybe a little later in the off season, we'll give you guys some numbers. But yeah, I think it's hard to judge because there's also just a lot of NCAA players to pull from
Yeah.
across this country. And most of the attention is only played to those who play in D1. But, we've had D3 players on the Hearts before. Mickey Riley was one of them. He came from a very good D3 program. To address the League of Ireland question, I think that's a really interesting league for people to look at. It is probably very comparable to the USL in terms of quality. Very similar sort of size of teams. Payrolls are probably very similar. It is a developmental league. It's primarily a developmental league for England's lower divisions, or even some of their upper divisions. You see a lot of guys in the Championship and the Premier League who might have started out in the League of Ireland. So I definitely think it's a good place to look at. As far as Mr. McElroy himself, I don't see us paying a transfer fee for him. I just don't think that's really a thing that's done at this level when you have so many free agents you can sign.
Yeah.
But he is out of contract next year, so that is something to look at. I did look over his statistics earlier today. He's kind of got the making of a little bit of a diamond in the rough, I feel like. He's got some really good numbers up against him. The kind of guy who you think might come over here and really make a splash with the right coach and the right system. So I might keep an eye on him next year. I really do think we should probably return to him in 12 months.
Chaz, any thoughts on just basically other pools in terms of picking players from, whether it be League of Ireland, whether it be the Caribbean, whether it be anywhere else around the world? Any places that you like to mine other than the USA?
Other than USA, I mean, I honestly kind of stayed away because, like you said, it's we're picking from what 50 leagues.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to really it's
Yeah.
so much. I think maybe I don't know if you don't from how I've been kind of going about this is actually I've kind of gone through the agents to find players.
Okay.
I know once we get kind of further, some of the guys that I have for other positions, I've just been looking through their player management.
Okay.
Like
I
who
gotcha.
else is on the Hearts? Who does that? I also haven't been looking because I think I confirmed this with Don. We only have or I don't know if Rob, maybe Rob. It was either a conversation with Rob or Don. We only have 3 international spots left. So
Right.
I mean, I would be very shocked if we fill them this year. I think, if anything, we're going to sign one player. Because I think we can start signing international players January 1st. I wouldn't be shocked. I would be very shocked if we sign more than one come January 1st and we save those 2 international spots for later on in the year. So, to be totally honest, I've kind of put international watching totally on the back burner and done more just college. After going again to the D3 tournament up in Brunswick, I've kind of just been looking at D3 players and again just kind of scouring other players on the Hearts, just looking at their management groups and seeing who's a free agent. So in short, no, I have not, not looked internationally at the moment.
So if I may, I think before we leave the right center back spot, I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple selections that I would sign if I'm head coach Bobby Murphy. I would go ahead and attempt. Two sides both have to agree. We all understand that when it comes to signing of players. Just because a team wants to sign a player and the player's like, I've got offers elsewhere, then hey, it doesn't line up, right? So with that being said, I would go out and try to sign Jake Dengler and bring him in and put him in as my starting right center back. If I'm head coach Bobby Murphy, that's the person I'm trying to prioritize in that right center back spot. And like I said, we needed to have two right center backs. I am going to go towards the college side of things, and again, needle in a haystack, folks, when it comes to NCAA and college players. But my particular player that I pulled up and just recently talked about, Josh Martinez from San Diego, would be my other selection. But of course, insert college right center back player here, and that's who I would bring in if I was head coach Bobby Murphy. So basically, the center back rosters would look like Jake Dengler, college player, and of course the two that we do have under contract officially, Brecc Evans, and of course our own Kemali Green. That would be the center back room if I was head coach Bobby Murphy. Rob, what would your room look like if you were a head coach?
Yeah, I think there's no arguing Jake Dengler is probably the number one, especially since we signed Brecc Evans. My number two, I'm going to throw a name out there that we have not talked about. His name's Aiden Kelly. He's in the NCAA. He plays for UMass Amherst. He's a senior this year. He came up through Cliftonville's Academy, which is a team in Northern Ireland. He's had some pretty good stats. He played this summer for Western Mass Pioneers, played pretty well for them. He's more of a left center back, but if you look at the limited data that's available for him on his heat map, he's kind of all over that bottom quarter of the field. So I don't know if he's retrainable, just because the data from the NCAA is a little difficult to get, and I couldn't find any of his Cliftonville or his Western Mass data. But I think he's kind of in that category we're talking about. Like, when you get to the NCAA players, maybe he's someone to look at. He's local, so he wouldn't be that difficult to scout. So yeah, he's another guy I think we should perhaps look at seriously.
So Chaz, can you give us the four names that you think would be in your center back room? Of course, Kemali Green and Brecc Evans is half. Who would be the other two
Yeah,
over at the center back side on the right side of the house?
I mean, like I said, Jake Angler would hopefully maybe breadcrumb in David Mason. And then if not, if we can only get one of the, I wouldn't mind either one of those. If we only get one of those, I would definitely try to get Koulibaly. I think it just makes too much sense to not get Koulibaly. If he's on the table, if we can only get one of those two or just one, if we can get another veteran, we have to get Koulibaly. Because then, again, like you said, with Kemali and Koulibaly, I think they pair well together. I think there was definitely some mentorship going on there.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
they can fill in when Brecc, if they can fill in, they're like the perfect 1-2 punch. You get two great middle-aged kind of guys that can go forward. Once they sub out, you can then bring in like this big bulky guy and a smaller kind of faster guy. That's a mean 1-2 punch. That would be my dream. But yeah, like I said, I would probably stick with Jake Dangler and David Mason would kind of be my hope.
All right, I think we'll
at least for the center backs.
Yeah. No, so I think that takes care of the center back conversation. We talked about Mo Mohammed out there on the right wing. Was there any other names that we wanted to entertain out there on the right wing with Jaden Jones-Riley already assumed to be our starter at right wing? Any other names out there at all, Rob, other than Mo Mohammed, which we've already talked about?
Yeah, I don't know specific, kind of, I think leaning in towards also talking about the left wing position. There is a guy who played for Portland Timbers too, who was just released. His name is Blake Pope. He is primarily a left winger, but he also has experience this past season playing in the right wing slot. So he seems to cover both ends.
Okay.
He might be a good guy to come in and kind of be a good understudy to Nathan Messer and just kind of be that reserve player we need, who can cover either wing if necessary. I really do think the difference between a well-constructed team and a team that's less well-constructed is having players that are able to switch up and play multiple positions. So that when you get into the injury period, you're able to call in a guy off your bench and, if necessary, can move around the pitch mid-game.
Yeah, once we had an idea that Mo Mohammed might be a real possibility in coming back. Honestly, I stopped looking at right wing back, knowing we already got Jaden, and Mo might be a real possibility. Which I would obviously be a fan of bringing Mo back. I kind of stopped looking, so I don't have any other names for right wing back if for whatever reason bringing Mo back does not happen. Chaz, do you have anything on right wing back at all, other than Mo Mohammed?
No, I mean, so who are our wing? So we have Nathan on the left, Jaden Jones on the right.
Yeah, and
Mo
Paul,
theoretically could fit behind
Paul,
either.
yeah, Mo possibly will be
Um,
coming back. He's not officially signed or anything, but we're thinking that it might be a real deal where Mo might be coming back to us.
okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I haven't really thought too much about it. Yeah, I think once we get Mo, it's probably going to be, that's kind of one of those ones where I'm like, I think we could
Yeah,
probably, I don't know if, kind of going back to the center thing, I think we should definitely get veterans in the middle. Depending on where Mo fits, I think the next person would, again, be someone we, again, probably a no name from college or someone we pick up from the main training day. That's probably one of those spots where we could fill with a young person, since I think Jaden Jones and Mo, I think those will probably be, if Mo comes back, it'll probably be Jaden and Mo, and then whoever will just take. Nathan Messer is a prime person to be, or to, go underneath and kind of learn
yeah,
from. So I think that left wing will be probably just like a, someone we have no clue.
right. No, I agree. I agree 100% that left wing back will certainly be a learning role. So when we talk about learning roles, for me, I start going directly to college players. So that's what I did. So I do have a couple of names I want to go ahead and throw out there. I think the first one might have went a little too high on this one. This is probably going to be an MLS player or something like that, but. Um, Once I had written it down, I kind of caught myself and I said, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about it anyways. So I've got a left wing back out of Princeton. He's a senior, so an Ivy League guy. That'd be a little fun, right? Princeton coming in, rubbing shoulders with Dartmouth. There's got to be a little bit of smack there somewhere. Um, and his name is Jack Jasinski. He's a left wing back for Princeton. I think if I remember reading, it was like the third best wingback they've ever had there at Princeton, um, and he certainly has made an impression on NCAA and Princeton at the left wingback position. And I'm not sure if we could keep him here, honestly. And like I mentioned, he's probably someone that's probably bound for MLS or something like that or whatever. So I'm probably way, way, way above what we are looking for coming into USL League One. But that was the first name that I had, and the second name that I went and grabbed and plucked from the college ranks was Thomas Muller from Charleston Golden Eagles. He would be the second one that I would offer up as a possibility coming in for a learning role in behind starting Nathan Messer. Rob?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Jack Jasinski right now. I think, yeah, I think he's one of those guys. Probably a good learning player. Came up in Philadelphia's academy. It's looking like he actually has USL championship minutes from when they played in that league. So yeah, and it looks like, at least from that time period, he was playing on either wing,
Okay.
if not more so over on the right. So I think, again, probably a good guy to kind of get playing, and a good guy to learn under Nathan Messer.
Any thoughts on left wing at all, Chaz?
No, I think it'll be just too many options. I think it's just again I definitely gave up, and I'm now on midfield.
I do think that probably Nathan Messer, it's worth mentioning, is at least in my mind probably the best left winger for the style of play we have. He's probably the best in the league.
Yeah.
So we already have the best player in that position playing for us. So whoever we bring in,
Yeah.
it's gonna be in that Class B role where
Yep.
they're trying to learn from Nathan Messer or filling in if Nathan should get hurt.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly right, Rob. 100% on board with you there, and so for basically trying to just flush out the wingback side of things, I think we're all pretty much in the same boat as other than Mo Mohammed coming back on the right side, and then get your best college player that you can go out and grab and bring in and start mentoring in behind Nathan Messer on that left hand side, and call the back line complete. I think that's pretty much kind of where we're sitting. Um, you want to go and venture into the front end of the formation and start talking about strikers?
Sure, why not? I don't know if I have as many players right now, but definitely got some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with who is our forwards right now. Actually, I don't. So is it just Titus right now?
Yeah, so the current striker room that we have right now is singular, and we have one. We have one striker on contract with our co-rookie of the year, Titus Washington, our one and only lone striker, currently inked to the Hearts of Pine. So last year we ran with four strikers. So the whole blueprint, our jumping off point, is basically taking the roster and where the names that we had lost are vacant spots for us to fill. So we have three strikers in comparison to last year's roster that we need to fill, along with the return of Titus. So I can kind of go through the names that I have. I also probably could have done a little bit more research. I needed three names, and I have exactly three names. But it was pretty easy for me, and it probably will be repeated. But I think Azad Liadi needs to return. I think that will be a relatively simple signing. And this is just, of course, my opinion, that I think Azad had his head turned, and he even mentioned as much that Portland, basically coming and playing here. He kind of fell back in love with soccer again, playing here for Bobby Murphy and the Hearts of Pine. And we all know that his contract is that he's now out of contract in terms with Lexington, which means he is now a free agent, and the door is open for him to sign with whomever that he chooses. Um, and the hopes is that maybe head coach Bobby Murphy is having those conversations with Azad and getting something ironed out. And I'm going to go ahead and put him down as one of my selections for a striker for a 2026 season, Hearts of Pine. The second name, I'm just going to throw all three names at you here. The second name that I have is Yanev Bizzini from South Georgia Tormenta. As a striker that I think he's got some roots up here in New England, where he played for Vermont Green FC, and he's a Vermont Catamount college player. So he is not unfamiliar with New England. Um, I think he would fit in really, really well up here, and he's kind of got a year under his belt already in League One, and I think he scored some 11 or 12 goals last year. So he knows how to put it in the back of the net. And to kind of bring him up here and dovetail him in with Azad Liadi and Titus Washington, I think that'd be a really good place to start for our striker position. And my college player that I went ahead and chose that I do feel that fourth position should go to a college player. I pulled Danielle Burko from Hofstra. He's a senior. and he looked like he had some pretty good stats to me, and he looked like something to build around for a college player up there in up in the striker position. So those are my three names, and I guess those would also be my selections since I have no other names. So Rob, what does your striker room look like?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily feel confident enough to name who I want, although I do want to talk about Yana Bazzini real quick.
Sure.
He's someone that we talked about actually last season when we were putting together the roster as someone to look at. Last year was kind of odd. He wasn't picked up in the MLS draft. That's kind of what I was expecting to have happen.
Right.
He ended up going down to South Georgia Tormenta, played there, played a really excellent middle of the second half of the season, really. Um, as I understand it, he has a contract option that the club is permitted to exercise, and South Georgia has not formally announced their official roster decisions yet. So there's a chance he might be sticking with South Georgia. I do know that there were some members of the Dorigo Union that spoke with him after our home game against South Georgia Tormenta, and he talked about how much he enjoyed playing here and was really interested in Portland Hearts of Pine. And I'm not saying that means anything, but I don't know. I think if that option isn't exercised by South Georgia, then um, maybe we see him come up here. I do also think that Azad Liadi is, a good choice. He knows the system already, especially as I said in a prior pod. He was starting to click. It was beginning to really work well for him, and then he got injured. So having him come back, it takes probably 3 months off developing a new guy, learning the system. So why not bring him back? The third name I'll mention, just for the kind of the need to mention this, is Tempest Tequila, who was a really big part of one Knoxville's forward line, is also currently a free agent. So I honestly haven't looked at his style of play, specifically thinking about how we play. But if this is an upgrade year, a year to go out and find guys who are upgrades on last year's squad. He was one of the best forwards in the USL League One. Someone to really talk to probably and see what it might take to get him up to Portland, I would think.
All right, Chaz, what does your striker room look like?
Yeah, so another again, the guys to Yazzini, of course, makes sense, New England guy. Possibly, I would love Tempest Tequila. Why not? He knows how to fish. I do think his Adi will come back. I was on that boat like months ago.
Yeah.
I heard like the rumor that like he's already talked to his agent. I think he would be a great guy to have. At least come back to have two. I would like to have two Hearts players that have already been here to come back. Another guy I was looking at was another guy from Texoma, Brandon McManus. He's only 20, well, I guess going to be 24 years old. Again, why not pick up guys from that roster that have already been here? He had 6 goals for Texoma, and Texoma was kind of a streaky team. You could also maybe even do Philip Spangler from Texoma. He was their leading goal scorer. I guess he's more of like a center. He's more of like a
midfielder.
CAM.
Yeah.
So that could feel nice. I honestly think maybe even moving Wada to even a striker could be kind of a fun little thing. I know he's not new, but that's the time for a different story, different feel. If we ran like 2 center or 2 forwards. So yeah, again, Brandon McManus, Azad Liadi, Tequila, Yazzini, and then my random shot in the dark is a guy named Tyler Huck. He's Bowdoin. He was the I forgot what their conference is called. NESCAC offensive player of the year, I believe. He was actually, he was the NESCAC player of the year. He's a senior. They just made it to the Sweet 16 of the D3 league, and we got a guy like Mickey Riley. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Mickey Riley came back, but Tyler Huck is kind of like a similar build, smaller guy, really fast. He again probably wouldn't be a starter, but it would be kind of a cool to get another local guy that is proven at least in college. Why not? And he could fit behind two big guys like Azad and Titus. And then long story short, Tyler Huck is my shot in the dark in terms of forwards.
13 goals in 19 games is not exactly a bad statistic looking at him, with 8 assists.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's just a little small. 6 foot, 150 pounds. So he might need to put a little weight on.
Yeah, not bad stats.
Is that what you're talking?
That'll certainly get you. That would certainly get you noticed with that stat count. No matter where you're playing, that will certainly grab some attention. But I think for this podcast, I think that's probably, in terms of players, I think that's probably about where we'll leave it. I think we'll do another one of these podcasts, and we'll go deep into the midfield, and of course, the definition of a midfielder from head coach Bobby Murphy. That's your typical wingers, or so the Ollie Wright positions and the JT Kamara positions and stuff like that. He likes to run those in the channels, qualify as midfielders here for the Hearts of Pine. So basically, it's that 3 across right behind the striker, and the 2 midfielders, more defensive style. They're center midfielder and your central defensive midfielder. Those are going to be the 5 positions that we'll go ahead and we'll talk about in the next podcast. But I think for today, talking goalkeepers and the back line and the striker position, probably more than enough for today. But any final thoughts and kind of our new signing and the rooms that we've kind of talked to, and or any other just general discussion we want to go ahead and kick around before we wrap this thing up, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just tell everyone listening that there's a lot of players out there. We're just 3 dudes who do this on a random night. Go out there and take a look around. It's kind of fun when you dive into the lower leagues of American soccer and try and find the diamonds in the rough, so to speak. So if you got ideas, you got players you think we should take a look at, post a comment on the YouTube link, shoot us a message in the Discord. We love talking about the Hearts of Pine. So go ahead and start up a conversation.
So Chaz, any
I think final point for me is probably it's still so surreal to actually now be at a point where we're talking about this. Ooh.
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah.
All right, we got you now, Chaz. We got you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, sorry, it might have been me. I kind of just going to this final thing. It's probably it feels still really surreal that we've kind of now gone through this, and we're at a point where we're like, it's weird to feel like we're on top going into this. I definitely didn't expect us to be like, hey, who can we get? Why are we can kind of do whatever we want. So feels good that way. But yeah, definitely get into, watching. It's been a lot of fun watching random soccer leagues, American or international. And yeah, also just stay active. It's going to be a long winter. So, try and stay active in the Discord. Keep an eye out for announcements. We're always going to, we might take a little break, but yeah, make sure to, come out to events and talk with all of us. Cause we're all here. There's 1,000 of us now. So, let's keep it that way. But, yeah, it's going to be a really exciting off season. So stay awake.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of more of these off-season podcasts and discussions and conversations. And Chaz, and to your point, through probably January and February, I'll probably be organizing a couple of Premier League watch parties, and we'll kind of repeat a little bit what we did last year when we took most of you took the train down to the June Court pub, and we had a nice morning, or half the day really for that case, and took in some Premier League soccer, and enjoyed everyone's company. There was probably some, I don't know, 15, 20 people, I think, if I remember right, Chaz, and you were one of them. Came down to the June Cork and had a good time.
Oh yeah, it might have been 20. I think it was easily over 20 people. We
It
took
was
that
20
whole back
people, and I
hall.
think I had 20 beers that day, so I don't really remember the train ride home. But that's the nice thing about taking the train somewhere is you don't really need to worry about driving.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we'll probably try to pick a good time in January, and we'll repeat the June Court Pub, I think, and so be on the outlook for that date, advertised and through Discord and through the calendar at the Dirigo Union homepage. So that's where you can go ahead and find that date once I do get that organized. And I'm thinking of another spot up there and up in probably a little bit further north. Kicking around the idea of maybe doing rivalries is a possibility. I'll certainly want to be somewhere kind of indoors, lots of TVs, and where they can put some 20, 25, 30 of us or something, and we can go and watch a lot of Premier League games. And that was the kind of the first thing that popped into my head was maybe rivalries is a possibility. So if anyone's got any better ideas, feel free to shoot me a DM in Discord or anything in the general chat in Discord, or hey, even maybe post a comment here in the YouTube video or something like that. All of that works for me. But before we get out, any final thoughts, guys? You good?
Think we're good.
I think we're good.
All right, guys. So thanks again for watching or listening, and whatever your visual or audio selections are for this podcast. And we'll see you next time. We'll talk some midfielders. Up the Hearts.
Up the Hearts.
Hey, up the Hearts.